This is the poorest neighbourhood in Hong Kong, and we are at Sham Shui Po station.
The world's most unaffordable housing market, Hong Kong.
It takes about 14 years for a family to be able to buy a house without any expenses.
Today, I'm taking you into its poorest neighborhood, where people live in ways you have to see to believe. We'll see illegal rooftop slums up close, shophouses you've never seen, my experience where I accidentally stumbled into a red light block, tasting local street food, and exploring the government's solution to fix housing shortage once and for all.
There's essentially three types of housing. The first type of housing, subdivided units, which are usually rooms that are chopped into smaller rooms. And these rooms, right, they have maybe about 80 to 120 square feet,
which is the size of a parking slot.
The next house is actually coffin houses, which are stacked in two levels, right? The first one is at the bottom and the second one is at the top. And basically you have to squeeze in very tight areas and sleep with people all around you in coffin houses, right? So one room can typically fit about maybe 12 to 18 coffin houses, which is actually really tight, and they have maybe one air conditioning unit at the very front of the house, one shared toilet or two shared toilet in the entire unit itself. And the last house is actually cage houses, which are metal cages houses where people stay within these houses itself. Immediately coming out of Sham Shui Po, you have four distinct roads that you can take, right? And they are filled with a lot of shop houses and a lot of restaurants at the bottom of these houses as well. Along the main road, right, there's also a lot of different stores. They are selling things from luggages, clothes and bed sheets, to dresses, iPhone cases, electronic devices, and a whole bunch of stuff. I think today is a holiday in Hong Kong because this place is filled with so many people right now, and I think a lot of the domestic helpers that are working for families in Hong Kong, it's their holiday, so they're out here shopping. But right above these shop houses, you have all these houses, right, that are the three types of houses that I just mentioned.
First house that will be seen. The corridor is a little narrow and looks slightly run down. I can't imagine senior citizens having to climb this every day.
Senior citizens for sure, because they have
I noticed a lot of shoes in this apartment and suspected that it might either be a subdivided unit or coffin homes.
So I climbed up the stairs and I'm currently on the rooftop of one of these buildings right now, below all the shop houses. Another interesting thing that I would like to point out is there are also illegal houses on the rooftops of some of.
They are illegal under the unauthorized building works, under the building ordinance. They're not built by professionals and they are unlikely to be safe or fireproof.
Families that are living under a tent and hanging their clothes. Another one over there with...
I believe people living in the apartment might not have space to hang their clothes, so they're hanging it at the rooftop.
Their clothes, and it's currently under this tent. Rooftop houses. And if you look carefully across some of the flats, right, there are also rooftop houses that are definitely not the same as the building. You can see that the building is here, and then all of a sudden at the top there's this rooftop that looks very drastically different from the building itself, right? So they use metals and cardboards to sort of to build the house at the very top. This is the back of one of these buildings, and as you can see there are a lot of litters on top of these houses, on top of these buildings as well.
I realized that some of these places that I'm filming below are called canopy houses, which are also unauthorized buildings. But why are there still so many rooftop houses despite it being illegal? Some academics have termed this as controlled tolerance, and the reason is because there's severe public housing shortage. There are massive public housing backlogs with hundreds of thousands of applicants waiting for housing. Rooftop housing provides cheap and affordable house for people who can't afford the public housing, or there's simply no space for them even in the public housing scheme. And another issue is that evicting residents without providing them immediate rehousing creates problems like homelessness. But something interesting that I read about is that some of the rich people in Hong Kong, their buildings, they're able to build additional rooftop. One example is Teresa Cheng, Hong Kong former Secretary of Justice. In 2018, inspectors found 10 unauthorized building works across her and her husband's home. And Henry Tang, the former Chief Secretary for Administration.
Authorized building works is concerned, we are prepared to take responsibility for our actions.
I kid you not, the media and photographers hired cranes outside his house to take a better look. There are many critics who point towards this law enforcement issue. So why does the people in areas where they are building rooftop houses are not able to do so, while the people who are rich and wealthy are able to have add-on layers as well?
Right now I'm gonna attempt to enter one of these sub-unit houses.
As I'm editing this clip, I think this specific apartment will shock you.
As you can see over here, these are some of the letter boxes of all these sub-unit houses. All the electric wiring and cables over here. I'm gonna get out of this place. I'm pretty sure that the place that I just walked in is a prostitution place. I don't know how to react from that. I thought it was housing estates, but turns out there are also, I guess, prostitutions in these neighborhoods as well. I guess that explains why there are so many old men in this area too. At the front store, right, it looks like it's a massage parlor, but actually if you go up, right, it's actually a prostitution service.
So in the past, a lot of sex workers dressed up very inappropriately to sort of solicit middle to older men to sort of seduce them, and a lot of complaints actually surface because in the neighborhood there are people who are students, workers, who walk past these streets every single day. Now it's illegal for these prostitute workers to be standing on the main road or to lure people into their services. A vice establishment or brothel is illegal in Hong Kong. If you have 2 or more prostitutes working in the same room, that's why there's this saying, Yat Lao Yao Fang. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but basically 1 worker in 1 room. And the reason why raids still happen is because there's a breach of condition of stay.
But they can only come here with a work visa, which only allow them to stay here for 7 days. So they have 2 options. First, they could overstay.
And most of these sex workers, they're actually migrant workers from mainland China, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines. Some of these people are actually trafficked or exploited from their original country into Hong Kong itself. And another issue why police raids these places is because there are landlords and syndicates who subdivide the rooms and rent it out to prostitutes. These landlords or syndicates profit from prostitutes, which makes it illegal. This is another apartment building. Again, very narrow staircase and old building. Stay to the end to see the government solution to housing shortage in Hong Kong. I don't think I've seen metal cage doors like this ever before, so I thought this was really cool.
The thing about these places is that they don't actually have a lift, so they actually have to climb up these stairs every single floor. If you're a senior citizen, this is very inconvenient for you. I think the houses here are not subdivided units. I think they are just like normal 1-room apartment or house. I'm gonna try to attempt to find some of the most interesting shops that I've seen in Sham Shui Po as well. So this is pretty interesting. The house behind me, they actually help you to look for houses and properties around the neighborhood.
I don't really see property agents in shophouses, so I thought this was interesting.
So another very cool shop that I saw, it sells a lot of herbs, medicines that I've probably never seen before. The store behind me was also super cool. It's basically like a gambling place, but it's somewhat illegal in places like this where people can gamble, can play poker, can play mahjong together.
I found this golden looking weird, sketchy shop, right, which is called Wing Hing. And I realized after further research, it is actually a legitimate business. It is a mahjong parlor. People go in, they play mahjong, and the business itself, which is Wing Hing, actually just charges a fee for you playing in their shop. But upon further investigation, I realized that there is illegal gambling happening. Recently, in July 2026, there's this operation called Thunderbolt and Roaring Tiger, which actually arrested about 65 people in Hong Kong, and one of these places was actually in Sham Shui Po. Right, they were operating nightclubs, gambling dens which were illegal. Illegal gambling does happen somewhere, somehow in Sham Shui Po.
They have gambling areas where you can legally gamble in some of the more poorer districts or neighborhoods in Hong Kong. But if someone is struggling with gambling addiction, it's so convenient for them to just go in there and gamble just right below their house. So I can't imagine how challenging it must be to sort of escape of this place when some of the places around you are built for you to fall back so easily into these addictions. They sell this very famous tofu place that my friend recommended. They also sell a lot of vegetables. Super crowded and packed as well.
At this point, I was just starving. I needed to eat something as quickly as possible.
Tofu is very bland.
And then I saw the auntie in front of me putting this orange powdery stuff inside the tofu. I had to try it.
This is how the tofu looks like. The orange thing is sugar.
And I found out that there's a whole subreddit about this.
It makes the entire thing much sweeter. Now it's a lot better.
It has been around for 133 years since 1893, opened in Sham Shui Po in 1960, and even officially recognized with Bib Gourmet status in 2026.
I think this place has been open since 1909. It is open as a Michelin for 2026. That's super cool. There's this crispy tofu, there's this another variation of tofu, and like some ham on top as well. I'll split up with a sauce. One of them is slightly more spicy, but the other one is not so spicy. It's honestly really good. And this tofu is less crispy, but it is much juicier inside. So this one is also really good. I didn't know you could have so many different ways to eat tofu. The last tofu that we'll try. There's a bit of meat on top. Wow. That is so good.
It was super soft and it kind of melted in my mouth. Pairing it with the sauce gave it a much better taste.
So I just ate the tofu over here. Hands down one of the best tofu I've eaten, with many different variations or forms of tofu, which I was very surprised. I would highly recommend trying this tofu, and it's also very affordable. Like in Singapore dollars, everything was just 5 SGD, which was about maybe 2 to 3 USD. Now we easily transit to one of the better neighborhoods. You can easily see that the houses here are much better, less old, looks in a better conditions as well. The shops around the neighborhoods now are definitely a lot more expensive, and the houses above these shop houses are less old looking, a little bit more pricey and spacious as compared to the neighborhood that I was in earlier.
So how did the Poorest Neighbourhood come about?
Before the 1980s, Hong Kong was known for the manufacturing city, producing textile, garments, and all sorts of items. This kind of work mattered because people with no education background, no capital, and moving into Hong Kong, this was something that they could do and work. And in 1986, about 41 to 50% of the entire population of Hong Kong was working in manufacturing industry. You could be a factory worker, a factory manager, but the wealth gap wouldn't be that big, right? Because there were plenty of jobs available for people with no education, no capital to really work in. But everything started to change when Deng Xiaoping introduced the China by the Pearl River Delta. Many of these Hong Kong manufacturers took advantage of cheap labor, land in the Greater China, and they relocated very quickly out of Hong Kong. The pivot wasn't gradual. It was one of the fastest deindustrialization ever recorded. Between 1980 to 1997, in a matter of about 15 years, the manufacturing industry actually dropped from about 45% to about 9%. In a mere span of 15 years, thousands of jobs that supported the lower income group of people in Hong Kong disappeared. Even then, so what? How did Hong Kong manage to pivot in this situation? So the new economy started to reward a different set of assets. Right? If you had English, if you had education, if you had assets, houses, properties, you were literally riding the wave where Hong Kong was rising like crazy. Lawyers, bankers, property owners, they were able to succeed in this environment and economy. But the person working behind the sewing machine with the same hard work and grit, who had little or lesser asset classes or education background, they were positioned very differently. The economy didn't value their work or effort or skills as much as they did. Hong Kong transit to finance and real estate, it became more of capital versus labor. Your labor work, no matter how long you work, right, it increases very little. But the cost and the value of a house or stocks can rise and appreciate enormously in a short matter of time. And this allowed the rich to become even richer. And people who were working in finance and banking and wealth and properties were able to grow very quickly within this period of time. People earning a wage, right, saw their income going away very quickly from rising prices of their rent, prices of food. Something that really shocked me after researching a little bit more is Hong Kong tax system. Firstly, there's no wealth tax, no capital gain tax on stocks appreciation. The inheritance tax was also abolished in 2006, and corporate tax is one of the lowest. The poorest 10th in Hong Kong earns less than 81 times of the richest 10th, and Hong Kong becomes the least affordable place to buy a house for 16 straight years. Families on average wait about 5 to 6 years,
but non-elderly single applicants under the age of 60 waiting up to 10 to 15 years.
Behind me, you have multi-billion-dollar real estate houses and luxury condos. And over here,
light public housing and not transitional homes.
For some of the more vulnerable groups of people in Hong Kong. Look at how many transitional houses there are. My gosh. And behind me is one full stretch of transitional houses over here, located in Olympic Avenue. So you see these houses, there are basically 6 blocks, and every single block there's like a lot of flats as well. These houses are modular integrated construction, which are structural unit boxes that are stacked on top of each other that are made in China. They are literally Lego style stacking. Families, senior citizens. This is the entrance of the house, and this is the letterbox of every single house as well. This is how it looks like in some of the transitional houses in Hong Kong. This is a typical hallway. You can see that this is someone's house over here. I think it's about 1 room or maybe 2 rooms. Priority is based on what Google has said is that some of these are families with kids, or those people who are transitioning out of subdivided units and cages in Hong Kong. You can see down one alley, you have another long stretch of alley here. Honestly, the transitional houses here are amazing. I feel like compared to what I went in Sham Shui Po, I feel like this place smells a lot better. The room looks a lot more furnished and neater and nicer, and they have all the amenities they need. They have a toilet for themselves, they have a little kitchen, bed space. It's not very cramped and it's beautiful. I feel like whatever that the government is trying to do to get people living here is great. You can see that every single floor there's a kitchen, a small maybe toilet over here, some space where maybe they share a couple of beds, and this is stretched across so many different units, right? And this is one block. So many transitional homes. Right outside each transitional home, they're linked to the parks. Right, beautiful parks for them to walk. Honestly, I feel like this transitional home, even though it is a little bit oddly located beside some very premium, luxurious condo and houses, but I mean, it has a nice park, it is near shopping malls, and the amenities here are largely better and improved compared to some of the houses I saw in Sham Shui Po. At every single floor, there's a rubbish chute, right? It looks kind of clean. Honestly, I think it's not that bad, right? I think it's a lot better than what I thought. Transitional homes. The crazy thing is, I think there are more under construction, and right behind me is a very, very long stretch of queue of people trying to, get, I think, one of these houses, right? So I think this really shows that there's a shortage of houses in Hong Kong, and this is only a temporary housing, it's not a long-term solution. Let's try to walk around their neighborhood and see, what's around this area as well. And some of the first floors are already transitional house. You can see how it looks like inside. But some of the first floors, they are like convenience stores. There aren't really much stores around the neighborhood here. Under one of the blocks, there's a Circle K here, and then there's another like restaurant over here as well. But in most of the blocks, it is quite empty. They don't have much stuff going on. There are some houses that look so cramped, like this house is hanging all their clothes in the inside. They don't have anywhere to hang. Honestly, some of these houses looks very cramped, even though there's enough space for the citizens to stay. The cool thing is they have a building management office, so if you need any issue, you can always find them. They also have a social community center for people, for kids to just hang around and play.
As this video comes to an end, I realized that exploring Hong Kong gave me a new perspective on the struggles that people here face and how the government is actively trying to help those most in need. And I just want to thank you guys so much for subscribing and supporting me, because creating videos is something I've always loved doing. So I'll keep going, keep trying, keep posting better videos. Thank you so much for your support. God bless you. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.